Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Yoga for Everybody session today. In this session today, we are working with detoxification, with the changing of the seasons, moving more so into the spring season and into the warmer months. We're going to take a different approach with our practice. We'll have a lot more twisting poses today, heart openers, and a lot more forward folds. So let's go ahead and get started. Bring yourself into any seated or lying down position for your body. Let's just make sure that you're in a comfortable place where you're able to breathe easy. As we position ourselves in a comfortable place for the body, take a moment and maybe notice where the hands are comfortable, preferably turning the palms up. This is the quickest way to roll the shoulders back, to open the chest, and to really create that space that the body so appreciates so that we can really move that breath through the lungs. From wherever you are, start to become aware of the breath, breathing in through the nose as much as possible, and trace the path of the breath by how you feel the air in the body. Now, at some point, we're going to lose that sensation of the air, and then the body sensations will pick up where that leaves off. As we inhale, the air around us is a little bit cooler, and we're going to inhale in through the nose. We'll trace the coolness of the breath through the nostrils, probably to the back of the throat, and at some point in the chest, that air is going to become a little more heated. As we continue to breathe in, we'll notice that the belly and the chest begin to rise as we continue to absorb that breath. And pause at the top of your inhale. Take a moment and really feel for the fullness of the breath, remembering that sensation of expansion in your body. When your body is ready, the exhale is effortless. We'll soften the abdomen, and we feel the breath rising up and out from the throat, out of the mouth. Now, maybe notice the point at which you feel the air leaving your body. And it could be first, we notice that the body softens at some point. Our attention shifts to the actual attention on the air, the awareness of the air moving up and out. Let's practice this a few times, inhaling in through the nose. Awareness of the breath moving down through the throat, through the chest, down to the belly. The belly expands, the chest rises. Pause, embracing the fullness of the breath. And when your body is ready, we exhale, the body softens, and we are able to realize and sense the air, that any stress, any tension, any stagnant energy is coming up and out with that breath. Now, if you have had a lot of stress this week, or maybe you've been told that you grind your teeth or snore, I'm going to recommend that you exhale and vocalize the ha breath. Let's try this a few times. Inhaling in through the nose, aware of the breath down into the belly, up into the chest. Pause, embracing the fullness of the breath, holding in that expanded state of consciousness. And when your body is ready, effortlessly ha breath. Ha. The whole body softens with that out breath. Let's try this maybe 3 to 5 more times. You may or may not be using that active ha expression on your exhale. No matter where we are with that breath today, we commit to staying focused on feeling for the breath's presence in our body with every inhale and every exhale. Inhaling into the nose, down into the belly inflates, the chest expands, heart rises. Pause to embrace the fullness of that expansive state in your body. And when you're ready, it could be an audible breath, or it could be a little more quiet. Continue to soften with every exhale. Now, if you are in a seated position, I invite you to go ahead and lie down on the floor. To go from seated to lying down, we do have a specific way that we can transition in an effort to reduce the risk of injury to your body, in particular your back and neck. So from seated, if you bend your knees, let those knees roll over to one side, and then you can turn your body towards your knees and towards your thighs. Slowly use the hands to bring yourself down into a side lying position, and maybe hug those knees in pretty tight to your chest. This is going to make sure that the low back stays open. From here, we can gently begin to roll over. Use the feet, guiding the spine into that supine position, lying down on our backs. From here, let's draw the knees in towards the chest. And we are holding on behind the knees or behind the thighs, avoiding any excessive pulling or pressure on the kneecaps. From here, notice if it feels better to take those knees wide, maybe as wide as the armpits or shoulders. Maybe press those knees in about halfway, even touching the knees together. And from that place, from those different places, just allow yourself to choose, where is the body experiencing the most comfort? Allow yourself to move towards comfort, repositioning the knees, and maybe even rocking a little bit left and right to massage along the sides of the spine and your low back. Allowing the shoulders to relax back and down. Our gaze is straight up towards the sky, keeping the neck and the head neutral in alignment with the middle back and lower back. Let's all come to a point where we have the knees at about hips width, lowering our feet down to the floor, maintaining that hips width distance with our feet. Let's take our arms with the elbows heavily bent. We're allowing the arms to flow back, maybe even letting the knuckles and backs of the hands rest against the floor. From here, try at least 3 big inhalations, breathing mostly into the center of the chest, allowing the body to rest. We're going to use this expanding breath in the chest space to gently stretch some of the muscles that lay over the heart and connect into your shoulders and arms. Exhale all the way. Now taking a big inhale into the center of the chest, in through the nose. Feeling an obvious rise, an exaggerated rise, almost a bowing out of the ribs in the chest. When you're ready, exhale from the throat with a sigh. You may even feel your middle back lifting and parts of the spine peeling from the floor with that exaggerated breath. Let's try it a couple more times. Neck is neutral, gaze is neutral up towards the ceiling. Inhaling into the center of the chest through the nose. Possibly feeling the ribs pulling away from the floor, maybe even some space between your low back and floor. Exhale. Completely relaxing the ribs, chest, and spine. At least 1 or 2 more like this. The inhale is very exaggerated. When you're ready, let's slowly bring those arms down beside us, pressing the palms down into the floor just outside the hips. Let those knees sway halfway over to the right. Now bring it to center. Knees sway halfway over to the left. Bring it to center. From here, just let the right knee go out to the right. And maybe take both of your hands onto your left hip and press that left hip down into the floor. Recruiting a very gentle stretch, isolated inside of that right thigh and right hip and groin region. The muscle we're stretching connects from your inner right thigh all the way up to the middle of your back. It's called the psoas. When you're ready, let's guide that right knee up to neutral. Reposition the low back in case the hips have shifted. Taking our left knee out as far as the body permits. It's almost like half of a butterfly pose. Let's bring both hands onto our right hip and press down into that right hip with that left knee open out to the side. Notice if your right foot is peeling off the floor and try to keep the inside of the right foot connected to the earth. Pressing down into that right hip while we stretch and open that left groin, thigh, psoas insertion point. Take in a big inhale. Exhale. Let's take our sweet time, guiding that left knee to neutral. Both knees are at hips width distance. Pressing our palms down into the floor. Push down into the soles of your feet. On the next inhale, peel up your tailbone and flatten your low back. So the hips are going to peel away from the floor, and we're stopping just when we feel the hips are lifted, avoiding lifting the back, keeping the middle back and low back flat to the floor. From here, slowly let the hips tilt back. Gentle pelvic tilt so that we're able to actively isolate and contract the lower abdominal muscles and places in the belly that can often hold cortisol and other stress hormones affecting our lymphatic drainage and digestion. From here, inhale, pull up the hips without lifting the back, squeeze the buttocks muscles, and now release the buttocks and release the hips. Let's try that a few more times. Inhale, squeeze, inhale into your chest. Squeeze through the buttocks muscles. When you're ready, exhale. Release that contraction. Just a few more. Inhale into the chest. Lift and squeeze the buttocks muscles. Release on the exhale. Maybe just one or two more. Lift and squeeze. Contract the buttocks. Imagine a small yoga block or a volleyball between the knees. So you're pressing in with the thighs as you squeeze through the buttocks. And then release. One more. Pressing in through the knees, down into the feet. Squeeze the buttocks muscles, lift the hips. And now slowly relax. Let's build on that. Knees squeeze in, buttocks engage, push down into the soles of the feet. And now peel up the low back and maybe even the middle back. Coming into bridge pose. Setu Bandha Shavasana. Bridge pose. When you're ready, lower the middle back, lower the low back. Last of all, pelvic tilt, hips come down. Inhaling, lift the pelvis. Slowly lift the middle back. And now lift a little higher, pushing down into the feet. So we're breaking this down into 3 parts, dissecting the spine and the hips. When you're ready, lower the upper back, lower the middle lower back. And last of all, let the hips tilt back and down to the floor. From here, continue with that motion of dissecting your lift into bridge. Hips, belly, upper ribs. Exhale, lower the ribs, lower the belly and navel, lower the hips. 2 more like that. Push into the feet, squeeze the glutes, thighs squeeze in. Lift the belly and the spine. Press up a little more. Exaggerate the lifting of the ribs. Exhale, ribs, navel, hips. Maybe one more if your body wants one more, or maybe give your body an opportunity to embrace some stillness. Find the breath. When you're ready, let's draw that right knee in towards the chest. Hold on behind the thigh. Push into your left foot and lift up the hips. Just a little bit. Slowly lower the hips down. Return that right foot down to the floor. Let's lift our left knee into the chest. Hold on behind the thigh. You can hold it here for a deep stretch along the buttocks and back, or push into your right foot. Squeeze the glutes, tilt the pelvis, and maybe lift the hips and the middle back away from the floor. Slowly lower down and lower the leg. Let's try that maybe a couple more times on each side, knowing that you don't have to lift very high. We may want to dissect and really isolate the muscles that are engaged here, squeezing the glutes. Push down into your left foot, pelvic tilt first, then push down and lift the back. Slowly lower down, foot down. Left knee in. Engage the glutes. Peel up the tailbone. Push down into the right foot, especially into the inner blade of that foot. Then lift the hips. Lower it all down. One more time on each side. Right knee in. Engage the glutes. Push into the inner blade of the left foot. Press straight down into the sole of that foot to get a little more lift in the hips. And now bring it down. Last repetition on the left side, knee to chest. Pressing into the sole of the foot, engage the glutes, lift the hips, lift the belly. And when you're ready, slowly lower everything down, lowering down the feet. Maybe hug your knees into the chest and rock a little bit, left and right. Let's loosen up the low back to be sure that you're able to reset your low back and avoid any locking up of the vertebra or the spine. When you're ready, roll over onto one side and bring yourself up into a seated position with the legs straight out in front of you, seated staff pose. Let's press through the soles of the feet, maybe even press through the balls of the feet just a little bit. So it's not quite a completely flat foot, and it's not a completely pointed toe either. If you were to point your toes, but try to pull the toes up and push through the ball of the foot, then push through the heel, we're stretching and activating the arches of the feet, also activating essential muscles from the arches to your inner ankle, inner knee, all the way up into the pelvis and the spine. Now try a urethral squeeze here, engaging the muscles that support your bladder. Same muscles are like a hammock hooked up from hip to hip in your pelvis to give you an active lift in the pelvic floor while stabilizing your SI joint and lumbar spine. If you're noticing that you're rounding, check in with your body. Do you feel like you're leaning back at all? Do you feel pain in your tailbone? If you do, try bending your knees. Sometimes when our hamstring muscles are tight, they'll pull on our back. So bend the knees and then notice if you're able to reposition the spine and maybe sit just a little taller, lengthening your posture. Let's inhale, taking the arms straight up overhead. Imagine you're holding on to maybe a 10 or a 20-pound bowling ball. So there is that sensation that we recruit of pressing in and actively pushing up and overhead, keeping the hips grounded into the earth. You can rock a little bit left and right. Find that point where the weight is centered between the hips. Let's inhale into the chest and actively reach. Exhale, take those hands out to the side and take them behind you. You're welcome to try turning your palms out to the side or turn the fingertips back behind you so that we keep the chest and the shoulders open. Let's press our shoulders back towards our hips. As you inhale, pull the heart and the ribs towards your knees. Imagine you're trying to lift the chest region over your knees, up through the sternum and the collarbone. Let's open the throat, looking up to maybe where the wall meets the ceiling, wherever you're practicing today, or just shifting your gaze up towards the sky. Keeping the throat open, let's try 3 big inhales here. Squeeze the knees in towards each other. Big breath in. And then exhale. Now naturally your ribs lift with the inhale. The lower stomach is contracted. So that breath is going to be exaggerated in the chest. Big inhale. Exhale. One more. Big breath in. And exhale. Let's come to center. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, twist towards the left, bringing your right hand palm to the outside of the left thigh. Circle, swivel at the waist, then the ribs. Pull your back left elbow down and set that hand down just behind you. Now, the closer the hand is to your hip, the more we're able to straighten that arm, and we're able to encourage a little taller of a posture here, a little longer of a spine. If it's painful at all, you can always experiment with walking that hand back, bend your elbow a tiny bit, and maybe lean back into that hand a little bit. Continuing to lengthen the spine while we're in the twist, maybe looking over your left shoulder. So this twist is actively spiraling from your middle belly, up through your ribs, around the shoulders, the neck, and the head. Let's try breathing into the back of your right lung. I know it sounds strange, but maybe close your eyes and find your breath under your right shoulder blade or under your right armpit. Maybe one more big breath here, finding that breath, directing that energy through the right side of the heart. When you're ready, slowly come around to center. Let's take any pressure off of that left hand of support. Inhale, arms overhead. Continue to reach with your arms. Take the left hand across to the right leg. Keep that right arm extended. Swivel at the waist. Swivel with the ribs. Last of all, bend that right elbow. Turn with the neck and the head. And let's set that right hand down beside us. Keeping the arm very close to the spine. Arm is very close to the hip or to the middle back and spine. We could always slide the hand behind us as long as we continue to maintain neutral posture, lifting the ribs and the heart. No matter where your spine settles in this pose, twisting just a little more and turning with the head and the neck to move through that natural rotation in the spine. Let's close our eyes, become aware of the breath under your left shoulder blade, breathing even under the left armpit. Exaggerating the inhalation on the left side of the body. The left side of the body is responsible for more of a passive character with the energy, an energy that's a little calmer in the body. One more big inhale and exhale. When you're ready, we slowly come around to center. Heart is facing the knees and the feet. Inhaling the arms overhead. Exhale, let's wrap the hands underneath the thighs or the knees. Move forward with the belly, trying to lift the heart and the chest over the knees. Open your throat. Come forward only as much as your low back and your middle back permit. Now, at some point, you are going to feel, okay, this is as far as my body wants to go. This is it. When you get to that point where you notice that's all my body is going to do, then drop your chin and let your shoulders come forward, rounding the upper spine. As we hold it here in our seated forward fold, the front of the body is deeply contracted, flushing out toxins from the intestines, the gut, even around the chest and the groin. We now open the backs of the lungs and the back of the heart. Let's breathe down into our low back, through the middle back, and now feel the breath under both shoulder blades, feeling a rise in the back side of your body. Exhale, relax your shoulders, relax your middle back, relax the hips and low back. At least 2 more breaths like this. Inhale into the low back, middle back. Move that breath under your shoulder blades. Maybe even feel the heart slightly lifting, exaggerating that rounding in your upper back. On the exhale, relax the shoulders, middle back, and lower back. Just one more. Inhaling, low back, middle back, upper back. Exhale, relax, shoulders, middle back, and hips. From here, let's keep our head down. We'll slowly start to back the heart and chest away from the thighs. Stacking the spine in your low back. Start to sit up, opening the belly, lifting the chest and the heart. Last of all, lifting the chin and opening the throat. So we're safely stacking the vertebra in the spine from the largest bones to the smaller bones for support. Let's bring our hands down beside us. Bend the knees with your feet flat to the floor. Let those knees sway left and right here. So we already went into a supine twist. We were lying flat on our backs and we twisted the knees. Now we're seated, a little different because there's a little more pressure on the hips. And this does require a little more spine support. So there's more muscles that are going to be recruited in the spine while we're trying to loosen up the hips and the low back. When you're ready, let those knees sway over just to one side and then come around to all fours. From all fours position, we're moving into a traditional cat and cow flow. For cat and cow flow, the foundation, traditional foundation, is to have the knees directly under your hips and then to have your ankles straight back from your knees. One of the most common misalignments is touching the feet in towards each other. So we want to separate the feet. Knees are at hips width, ankles and feet are also at hips width distance. Now the second alignment foundation we're looking at is in the shoulders. Shoulder, elbow, wrist in a straight line. If you're noticing any pain here, make a fist, turn your thumb forward, and you can have that same shoulder, elbow, wrist alignment using knuckles or using the fingers instead of a flat palm. Alternatively, if we want to get pressure off of the wrist and hands altogether, you could place your elbow down on the ground directly under the shoulder joint for support. This alignment of having a straight line from the shoulder to the elbow to the wrist is very important. This avoids what we call angular pressure on the joint. The straight line is usually where there's going to be the least amount of pressure, least risk of injury. So let's find our foundation, find a strong all fours position, pull the muscles up in the pelvis, imagine a yoga block between the thighs or a small volleyball you're able to squeeze between your thighs. As we inhale, let's slowly begin to flip the hips back first, then drop your belly, press the shoulders back away from your ears, and finally pull the heart and ribs forward, lift the chin, head, and neck, holding in cow pose. Inhaling into the center of your chest here, and exhale, hold. One more big breath in. Exhale, we're going to take this nice and slow as we're working with some very unique detoxification benefits here for the kidneys and the adrenal glands. Moving into detoxing your gut. Slowly begin to tuck the tailbone under first, rounding the low back. Then pull the belly button up. Then push into your hands or elbows. Last of all, drop your head. Exaggerating flexion of the spine in cat pose, deeply focusing on the contraction of the navel up into the spine. Pull the belly button in, pull up through the pelvic floor, urethral squeeze, engaging those muscles that support your bladder and hips. When you're ready, keeping the head down, just flipping the hips back, then dropping the belly, pressing the shoulders back, pulling through with the heart, opening the throat, holding in our expression of cow pose. As we hold it here, breathe into the center of your chest, pressing those shoulders away from the ears. It's as if your ribs are trying to hug against your hips. When you're ready, find your exhale. Start pulling the tailbone under, very slow. Pull the belly button up. Press into the hands. Separate the shoulder blades. The heart is moving up through your shoulder blades. And now drop the head, the chin. Hold it here and inhale. Inhale under both shoulder blades. Keeping the breath in the upper part of your spine instead of in the front of the heart, moving into that posterior plane of energy, breathing in through the back of the heart. One more big inhale. Last time, release this slowly. Find all fours position, just a very gentle all fours. From here, let's slowly walk the hands back to our thighs, coming up into a kneeling position. If you know that your knees are feeling a little tender right now, you could put a pillow under the knees or go ahead and sit back as we transition into camel pose. For camel pose, we're making fist with our hands. Let's inhale, lift the elbows and circle those elbows back a few times. Inhale, pulling up, circling back. One more, inhale, lift, circle back. Okay, this next one, we're gonna reach those arms out. Inhale, lift. Reach those arms out. Now bend and put the fist by your low back. If it's more comfortable, you can open your hands on the sides of the hip, preferably not turning the fingers down and pushing on your low back. Using that fist usually helps prevent thrusting the hips. The problem with thrusting the hips is that can create a lot of pressure on your sciatic nerve and low back, and that can create a lot of pain. So just adding in that bit of support, a bit of mindfulness to your low back position. On the next inhale, try to pull your elbows back. Maybe imagine you're trying to hold on to a beach ball between your elbows. Inhale into the center chest, pull the heart and ribs up. Lift your chin, head, and neck. On the exhale, we'll naturally lower the chin and the ribs just a little bit. It's like an upper abdominal contraction that we're creating with the breath. Two more. Big inhale. And then exhale. One more, big breath. And now exhale. From here, let's take our hands away from the back, whether you're seated or kneeling. Walk those hands forward. Let's let those hips sit back, finding either a seated forward fold or child's pose. Lengthening out through the sides of your spine. Let your head come down and touch the floor. We could always just breathe again into that low back, or you could try breathing into the sides of your body, letting the ribs flare. Just like when you watch a fish filter water, there's this flaring of its gills as it's filtering water through its body. Imagine that as you inhale, you're able to flare out your ribs to filter the breath. And then as you exhale, those ribs gently hug into the sides of the lungs. Breathing, listening to the body, feeling for any sensations that may be able to guide us in through the next breath, in through the next inhale and exhale. One more easy breath, noticing any sensations, allowing them to be our guide in the practice. When you're ready, inhale, shifting forward. Let's take one foot forward for a lunge, placing our hands on our thigh. We tuck that back toe, shift forward, and come into a halfway standing position for your body, supporting the hands on the thighs, straightening the arms. That way we have our spine fully supported here. When you're ready, deeply bending the knees, let's reverse swan dive, circling those arms up and reaching overhead into an extended mountain position. Lengthening through your side body. Reach a little more with your right arm. Maybe lean over to the left. Come to center. Reach a little more with your left arm. Lean it over to the right. One more time each side. This is known as a lateral flexion movement, but some lineages of yoga also call this an expression of a crescent moon. When you're ready, bring it to center. Let's draw those hands down to the heart and now down to your hips. Stepping our left foot back, a very short stride. Let's bend the right knee. From here, we're taking our left hand across to the right hip and then the right hand to the low back. Let's continue to press down actively through that left heel, keeping the hips leveled. Think of swiveling just at your waist. Maybe it's just half an inch or an inch of swivel through the navel. And then we roll through those ribs, draw that right shoulder back. You might even slide your hand along the low back to the outside of that left hip, looking over the right shoulder. At any time, you're welcome to experiment with straightening your right leg and just noticing how that might change the sensations in the hips or the low back. Pressing into the inner blades of the feet. When you're ready, slowly bend that right knee. Let's take our time to bring that left hand to neutral. Slide that right hand from the low back, gently releasing the shoulder and chest muscles, both hands to the hips. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up and overhead. Exhale, bringing those hands down for airplane expression. Reaching behind us, palms of the hands down. Let's bend that right knee, peeling up your left heel as we shift the body forward, and maybe we lift that left leg off the floor. For this standing, balancing expression of airplane, we could reach for any means of support to give the body that added sense of security. Maybe a chair, a wall, a countertop. Let's stay for just one more big breath. Open the chest. And now exhale, step that left foot in. Let's lower the hands, reposition your feet so that we're back in our mountain foundation, moving through that sequence on the other side of the body. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up and overhead, opening the chest as we circle those arms around, bringing the hands to the heart, and now down to the waist or hips. Seeing that the feet are at the width of your pelvis bones. Let's soften our knees. Sliding the right foot back, just a very short casual stride. We rotate that heel in and drop the foot down, bending the left knee. From here, square out your hips, roll to the inner blades of the feet and spread those toes. Firm foundation. Let's take the right hand across to your left thigh or to your left hip. Gently beginning to twist. Moving from the navel, the ribs, as we draw that left shoulder back, we take the left hand away and slide it along the low of your back. The more we twist, the more we may feel that that left hand is sliding around to that right hip. Let's look over our left shoulder, continuing to breathe easy here. At least one or two more easy breaths. Option to straighten that left leg. Perhaps some different sensations reveal themselves in your back or around your hips. At least one more breath. To safely come out of the pose, let's take the right hand away first. Slowly unravel the spine, allowing that left hand to slide across your low back, and then both hands to the hips. Gently bending that left knee. Inhale the arms overhead. Exhaling, arms come down beside us, palms dynamically reaching back. Let's shift forward, flipping the hips back, just like we did in cow pose. From here, we peel up that right heel. Both knees stay soft. And maybe engaging that right glute muscle, we slowly hover that right foot away from the floor. Continuing to gaze forward. You're always welcome to try closing your eyes. That can definitely cause the body to really get a little more shaky or questionable in the pose. One more big breath into your heart. Reach back. Exhaling, let's slowly lower that back foot. Grounding through the feet. Take a moment to reposition your body into mountain. So let's practice before we come down to the floor and work on any deeper stretches today. We're going to practice a breathing technique known as the breath of joy. This is a breathing technique that gets progressively faster. We're doing a set of 12 on these. This is what a single set looks like. So you bring your hands forward first. Then you take them out to the side. You bring them forward again and you lift them up over your head on the next one. Then you come straight down. So it's done in 4 parts. It looks like this. 3 inhales. It's now you can come all the way down to the floor and hit the floor. Or you can just bring it down with your hands beside you and do a ha, or you can do a ha. And you can just kind of ground those hands right there on your thighs if that feels better. So we're going to do a set of 12. The first 4, they're going to be slow. The next 4 will be pretty much your more natural rhythm. And finally, we have 4 that will be really fast. If you notice that you're getting dizzy or you feel nauseous or uneasy at any time, just stand tall, slow it down. You could even sit or move your body to some sort of support like a wall. That way, if you get dizzy, you can kind of ground that energy and slowly sit down. All right, let's try it together. Taking the feet out to any width into any stance where you feel supported. Taking the arms forward first. It's inhale. Ha. Ha. 3 small inhales. Ha. Inhale through your nose. Ha. Now a little faster. Ha. Ha. Now faster. Last one. Now just relax. Shake off your body, kick it off. Relax your shoulders, your legs, knees and arms. Move around in any way. At this time, if you want to grab a quick sip of water, if you've noticed that maybe you'd like to take a quick trip to the restroom, you could do that as well. We have done a lot of movements today to detox, to move excessive fluids out of the body, and also to activate the kidneys. So, if you feel like you need to use the bathroom, please go do it real quick and come back. When you come back, let's meet in a seated forward fold position. It's a position that the body has already practiced today, and it is going to release tension in the low back. So our seated forward fold can be done with your legs crossed or with the legs extended, allowing your body to choose. So listen to your back first and foremost. Your back is going to be our greatest guide in this practice. You can always bend both your knees and come forward as we meet in that forward fold, or stretch the legs out straight, or butterfly pose. Butterfly is a form of a forward fold. Feet together, knees out to the side. We already practiced that one butterfly stretch when we were lying down, so the inner thighs are nice and warm. No matter where you are with this, We lean forward, just lean into that stretch and drop your head and neck. Maybe let your head kind of just circle over to the left and then roll along your jawline. Circle it over to the right, allowing the head and neck to loosen up and allowing any muscles that move from the backs of your ears down to the middle of your back, allowing those muscles to loosen a little bit. There is a deep fascial line. It's a band of connecting tissue that goes all the way deep into your skull and behind the ears. It goes all the way down between your shoulder blades, through the heart, down to the middle of your back. As you pause and maybe hold it on one side, maybe try to find the sensations in that stretch. So starting at a spot behind your ear, the chin and the jawline are close to the body. Trace the sensations that might be moving down directly behind your heart, tracing the shoulder blades all the way down to the middle back. Maybe you even feel it into your low back. When you're ready, switch sides, roll along your jawline, pivot at the chin, slowly let that stretch come over to the other side. And again, pause, holding it there. No matter where you are, the shoulders are moving away from the ears. That stretches from a space behind your ears, tracing along the side of the neck, the middle of the heart, middle of the back and low back. When you're ready, bring the chin to neutral, head to neutral. We're just going to hold it there for a moment, centering the energy in the neck. Try at least one heavy exhale to release any residual tension that might be locking up your neck's energy. To safely come up, chin stays down, just like we've already practiced. Slowly stack the low back vertebra, stack the belly, stack the heart. Last of all, lifting your head and aligning your neck bones. From wherever you are, go ahead and take your knees over to one side. Let's lie down on our sides and then roll over onto your stomach. Let's take the elbows directly under the shoulders. If this is creating any pain in your shoulders, first try pushing the shoulders away from your ears. So sometimes what can happen is when we get into this position is what can happen is we can sort of dip into the pose. The shoulders might rise up, and that can create excessive pressure on some of the joints and nerves. So we do activate some essential muscles under your armpits. And from here, as you push the shoulders down and push into your elbows at the same time, you're able to stretch the front of the body and come into a Sphinx pose. I have my hands forward right now because this is just where my body went. This is where my comfort zone is. To refine the pose and to add in just another layer of maybe complexity to it, you can always turn your palms down, seeing that the elbows are directly in alignment with your shoulders. So the elbows are at shoulder width being the armpit region. And the wrists are also at shoulder width. So we have a straight line down from the shoulder to the elbow. And then from the elbow to the palms, the distance or the space between the wrist is same compared to the space between your elbows and shoulders. Let's continue to pull the shoulders back away from the ears. Lead with your heart. Maybe feel your ribs pulling forward and up. Let's close our eyes. From here, we're opening the throat. As a little added challenge, walk the toes into touching. Let's slowly lower the chest, sliding the arms out from under the body. From here, let's bend our feet. You're welcome to open the knees a little bit, a lot like butterfly. Now try peeling your knees off the floor. Squeezing the glute muscles. This is a low back strengthener. Lower those knees, lower the thighs, maybe even stretch the legs out behind you, turn the toes out to the side and the heels in. Makara Asana, a sea animal pose, lifting through your heart. Let's try that low back strengthener just a couple more times. Bending our knees, let's touch our feet together. You can always lower the chest a little more to take some tension off the spine. Let's squeeze the glute muscles. Imagine you're holding a beach ball between your knees and thighs, and now try to lift that beach ball off the floor with your knees and thighs. Remember to smile. Big inhale. Exhale, lower it down, stretch the legs out, toes to the side, heels in, and relax your upper back a little bit. Sea animal pose. You could try to lift your arms off the floor. This is another layer of complexity that we use to start strengthening the upper spine. One more time in that low back strengthener. Knees bend, knees to the side, toes and feet are touching. Engage your glutes. Imagine a big beach ball between the knees and the thighs. Start lifting that beach ball. Hold it there. Breathe into your side ribs. Flare the ribs out. And now exhale, relax. Take those feet out. Walk the toes and feet in. And now maybe just lay down for a moment. Turn your head to one side for a passive neck stretch. You could get more rotation here since there's less resistance from gravity. Find your breath. Maybe even try to use the stomach to breathe, and notice when you push your belly into the floor, you might feel a rise in your spine. Let's turn our head to the other side so we get that neck stretch evened out on left and right. Pushing our belly into the floor, feeling the rise and fall of your spine. When you're ready to come out of the pose, turn the head to neutral. Let's first slide our elbows in under our bodies. We're supporting the upper spine, supporting the smallest bones in the back. To safely come up, you could always tuck your toes, push your knees and thighs into the floor to lift the hips. We're in a supported plank, and then maybe walk the elbows back towards the knees. If you want, go ahead and find child's pose. Rest your head down for a moment. Now let your body move in any way that feels natural for you. That might mean that you want to do down dog at this time. For down dog, you would stretch your arms out in front of you, keeping the toes tucked. You would lift your knees off the floor, pull the hips to the sky so that you're in an inverted V position. Continue to soften your body. When you're ready, take your time. Continue to stretch and move in any natural way. Let's get our body ready for final relaxation pose. You may want to grab a pillow, maybe even a blanket or a jacket. Naturally, as the body is less stressed or as we're becoming more relaxed, we might catch a little bit of a chill. So take your time to get comfortable. Our meditation today involves a little bit of abdominal activation to flush out stress hormones. Once you lie down and get comfortable, bring awareness to the breath in your belly, practicing belly breathing. You may want to put both hands over your stomach. As we inhale, let's press the navel up into the hands. Exhale, feel the navel drop, then pause and just count. 3, 2, 1. Inhale, inflate the belly. Feel the rise of the belly. Then exhale, let the navel drop. Pause. 3, 2, 1. Let's keep that rhythm. Inhaling. Inhale into your belly. Pause, relax, pause, 3, 2, 1. Let's add on to that. Inhaling into the belly, pause, exhale, pause, pull the belly button in tighter, and now try to pull it up under your ribs. It's called Uddiyana Bandha. Uddiyana Bandha. It means belly lock. It is a flushing or an act of what could turn into a pumping action with the belly to get hormones, stress hormones out from around your gut. Let's try this a few more times. Inhaling into the gut. Exhale. Pause. Pull the navel in. Pull it up. Hold it. And now release. We're just going to do 2 or 3 more. Inhale into your abdomen. Exhale. Navel in tight. Pause. Belly in. Navel hooking under the ribs. Now release. Inhale. Maybe 1 more, maybe 2 more. Navel in, navel up. Release. At some point, you may just want to let yourself breathe. Let your body move that breath in any natural or organic way. Maybe release the hands from the belly and lay them out beside you. As we are rounding out the physical and meditative practice today, we just simply focus on the breath. Focus on noticing the inhale in through your nose, out from the throat. Maybe exhale as if you're going to fog a mirror. So if there's any residual heat or tension that might have been hiding and we may have loosened it up or unblocked that channel, let it go with the breath. It's like you're fogging a mirror, letting go of that vaporescent, hot energy. 1 more. To close today, you can always stay lying where you are a little longer. If you want, bring the hands over to your heart. This is our connection to the source, the connection to creation. Drawing in a unifying breath together. And then exhaling. From here, we can close together. Namaste, everyone. Go enjoy your beautiful day. Drink lots of water. You did a big practice surrounding detox today. So just like after you have a massage or after you have some sort of a lymphatic treatment, drink lots of water today. You might be making a few more trips to the bathroom than usual. That is normal for this type of practice. Have a great day, everyone. I will see you next week.